session. Made me sweat a bit.
Goodness.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming all the way to Korea. We're very excited to host you during your Asia tour. Why don't you give a little bit quick background of yourself and how you became a new CEO of Yuga Labs. You were president of global retail at Google, president of activism Blizzard right before Yuga Labs. You've been through scaling global international businesses, both in commerce, gaming, entertainment. I'm curious what you have vision in Yuga Labs today.
Sure. Well, thank you for inviting, and I appreciate it, Baek. And I spent a lot of time here in Korea. I joined Google in the very, very early days when it was still a very small company, and we built out our business in Asia Pacific. So I would come to Korea pretty much every other week it was like 2004, 2005. So and I ran Google Asia, and very, very passionate about developing the Asian market, and happy to be here. To your point, throughout my entire career, I've been involved in really building large consumer-facing platforms, whether it's Google Search. I was involved in Chrome, Android mobile, and then moved to Activision Blizzard to run the company, and has actually here in Korea some very well-loved names like StarCraft and World of Warcraft. And for me, what gets me really excited is about bringing media and epic entertainment to consumers globally. And when I joined Activision, I realized something that was very obvious. One, gaming was becoming a truly social platform. That's where players are not only playing a game, but they're actually connecting with communities. But as gaming becomes much more social, you need to have a way to connect with your identity and with your friends. And gaming in and of themselves are very siloed approaches. You play Call of Duty, and you got your community there. You play Fortnite, you got your community there. And there really needed to be a way to connect across communities, across gaming platforms, and that's where Web3 really comes in, where you have your identity, you have your social network, and being able to build that and connect that is what really excited me, and that's why I actually made it here to Yuga Labs as CEO.
That's amazing. We were sitting down in August, April, in Austin for breakfast and talking about Yuga Labs' expansion to Asia. And it's a quite important strategy decision for you guys to expand outside of US and go global, and also address a lot of fan base that are growing in Asia. So you've been in Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, now going to Singapore afterwards. What's the vision in Asia market for you? Why is it important? Especially for Korea. What do you guys see you guys can do in this market to collaborate?
Sure. First, what I love about Korea and the Korean market is it has always been at the forefront of so much. Social networking, really globally, was started here in Korea. Very few people know that. And that level of connection and forward thinking is what brought me here to Korea. And I'm so excited to have Hashed as partners and to engage with many of our community members. But to your specific question, what is it about Asia Pacific that we love? One, for whatever reason, our brands, whether it's CryptoPunks, Meebits, Bored Ape, Mutant Ape, has connected very, very strongly with the Asia Pacific communities. We have some of our strongest communities. We have some members here from our Japan Bored Ape Club that are passionate about what they do and bring so much love and excitement to the ecosystem. Korea, Hong Kong. So we really hadn't had much of a connection here to Asia Pacific, physical connection.
Yeah, I was asking a lot of Yuga Labs people last year that you guys got to bring AFES to Asia, not just New York.
Yeah, that's right. So we're still a relatively young company. We're only 2 years old. I guess only in the crypto space it's probably ancient. But we've had our Ape Fest, which is our annual gathering of our ape community. We've had them both in the United States. And one of the first things I said to the team when I became CEO on April 1st of this year was, Asia Pacific has to be a place where we do 8Fest. So we announced that we're doing 8Fest in Hong Kong at the beginning of November, and I hope I get to see, I know I'll see you there, see many of you out there in Hong Kong.
That's awesome. Another curiosity I had was, how can we make, with 8Fest coming to Asia and the brand and the physical presence coming here, how can we make the BAYC and overall Yuga Labs community more accessible? What are some of the efforts you guys have been doing in Asia, to make it more engaging? I think for me, for my personal experience, I live in the US, and I've been exposed to a lot of my friends and events locally. But I think it's still a little bit limited, but growing. And I think there's a lot of hidden, ape holders and people that are more of anons in the community. What are some of the ways that you guys been kind of, fostering that here, along with the 8Fest? Yeah.
Sure. Well, what I'll say, what I love about this community that we have is that aside from being very passionate and having a close identity connection to what we've been able to build, they're very connected globally. And our communities will connect through Twitter, through Discord, but also have in-person events in every single city where our holders are. And it's been very important for us to actually be physically present. So we had a great event in Tokyo about a month ago. We're going to have one later this week here in Korea, and glad to have you all as partners here. So actually just being physically present and connecting is an important piece. But we want to take it one step further, and that is why we're building our Other Side metaverse platform. And that's a way for our global community to be able to connect in one central place. We've had a number of experiences where we've actually been showing the development of our Other Side, and the feedback that we got from community members was fantastic. This is a great place for us to be able to connect virtually in the same way that they connect in person, city by city. And we're going to be building more and more experiences, not only to bring our global community together, but also to be thinking about how do we make it more local. How do you make it so that the Korean experience is something that the Korean holders really love, Japanese experience, et cetera. So that's an important component of how we're thinking about the development of our platform.
Awesome. As a Korean, I've been very proud of recent growth of K-pop and K-culture, and a lot of the content that's been coming out from Korean shops that are going global through Netflix and a lot of different channels. And what I noticed was that it's been very dominated by few of the large public companies here that are producing contents from top down, right? Obviously, these are amazing quality. Everyone loves it, and it's going global, making a lot of revenue from it. But I think that's not the only way that we've seen historically how the contents get developed and how the community gets formed. And I thought Yuga Labs is quite different. It's extreme, other spectrum, where Yuga Labs started as a BAYC community that didn't have marketing team, didn't have sales, didn't have production team. But with small idea, with small community with NFT, it started growing like a snowball, and it became international IP. And as a person who grew up with a lot of games and watching anime and movies, I don't think there's been that many cases in my lifetime where there's a new type of IP emerging as a global icon. Because I grew up with Pokemon, like Marvel and all these, and a lot of these are kind of recycle of same license in a different variation into different demographic or different style. But I haven't really seen anything in my generation growing up, a thing like Yuga Labs that just come out of nowhere and became billion-dollar business and platform. So could you share a little bit more about why it's so important to have more of this bottom-up community building around IP development?
Yeah. Look, I'm going to go back in a little bit of history and tell you why it is that I think this is so amazingly powerful. You may remember in the old days when you were lost, you'd stop off at a gas station and you'd pick up a paper map, right? And those paper maps had 1, 2, maybe 3 providers who provided the data, and you could never figure out how to get somewhere. And this dates back to my experience at Google back in 04, 05. What we created was Google Maps. And Google Maps licensed data from third parties. But the most powerful component of Google Maps was when we actually created a tool and we let the users actually put information into the maps. And we were able to essentially map cities that were never had any information, not only in terms of the streets, the monuments, where the restaurants are, and that user-generated way of creating the most robust map information was a big aha moment for me. Because that basically said, if you tap into community and community element, you can do something that has never been done before. And now, who has a paper map, right? You actually rely on Google Maps to get you anywhere. And a lot of it was actually created by people, by users themselves. So if you go now to IP, I've been in the media business most of my life, 30 plus years. And the business model of IP holders in the past was, I create IP, I invest hundreds of millions of dollars in creating an IP, and then I try to generate as much revenue from that IP as possible. So I license it to a very specific use case. If you want to make a t-shirt, you can only make the t-shirt with this logo, and this is what you're going to do. And what Yuga Labs did, which I thought was truly revolutionary, was it turned IP on its head and basically said, we're going to create the initial art, and then we're going to seed it to the community, and the community can decide how they're going to build the brand and build businesses off of it. And you think about the evolution of something like a brand like Mickey Mouse, which took decades to become a multi-billion-dollar brand. And you think of something like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, it really went from an idea to a globally recognized brand in a matter of weeks. Forget about years or decades, in a matter of weeks. And why that happened was it was a community-based brand building. And the community embraced it. They personalized it, This is actually my own ape. This is Captain Poncho. And what's interesting about this is not only that the community helped me name Captain Poncho, but also that I'm wearing a t-shirt made by Dan GT, who's actually a Bored Ape holder who has a clothing company where he's now making a business off of it. And we have now over 900 Made by Apes businesses, wow, accredited by us, where people are using their Bored Apes and they're building businesses off of them. So not only it's a digital brand building, but they're also building businesses with those brands. It could be from apparel to spirits and beer and water to coconuts to embroidery. And it's just fantastic to see how powerful, if you put the community in charge of brand building, what you can do. And that's what I think is the most powerful thing about Web3 and what Yuga Labs is really passionate about.
And I think something that really allowed that to happen is also that the holders own that IP and are able to do business around that IP rather than just asking permission from you. Like asking permission from Yuga Labs CEO, can we use this logo? Can we use this picture in my shirt or like my restaurant? There's like a sandwich shop I go in Los Angeles that has like a ape logo on it. These things I think only is possible because it started as kind of bottom up, where the holder itself owns that kind of business around the IP that it has.
I think that's absolutely right. I use the example of Mickey Mouse. I think Mickey Mouse is now public domain, I believe.
Recently.
Well, quite recently. But before that, you go to Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, and you say, "Hey, I want to create a Mickey Mouse water," and they say, "Okay, you have to go through this vetting process and talk to this attorney and this other attorney and this other attorney and this other attorney," and before you know it, it's like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do it.
You're talking with more of lawyers than designers about your business.
That's right. Yeah. And understandably, companies that have spent hundreds of millions of dollars building those brands, they say, I'm not going to license it out in any way that I can't control the brand. And this is where I say it upends the whole concept of brand building, because in this one, we say, all right, we're actually going to seed the community with this initial idea, and then figure out what you're going to make of it. And we'll support you. We'll be there for you. This is why I'm present here in APAC, why I go everywhere around the world meeting ape holders, because I really want to support them and help them build businesses. And that idea of you're now an entrepreneur. You're not only a Bored Ape holder and a community member, you're essentially now an entrepreneur, and now you're building a business off of it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with actually just having it and being your identity and being a member of a community where you can actually participate in so many of our events, or participate in some of the games that we've launched and the other side experiences that we have. But on top of that, you can also say, you know what, I do want to do something different. I want to create a business off of it. And the community has helped me get a jump start on something that's recognizable. Yeah. You may have noticed this in San Francisco.
Yeah.
When you land in San Francisco airport, they have an automatic coffee maker.
Yeah.
And it's like a robot that makes them. And I didn't even realize this. I was walking there with my kids, and one of my kids said, "Hey, Dad, a Bored Ape." And I was looking everywhere to see, like, where's the Bored Ape? And actually, this coffee maker has a Bored Ape brand on it. And the Bored Ape holder actually did a deal with the coffee maker where he or she is licensing the Bored Ape to the coffee maker.
I actually had no idea. I fly that airport almost every other week.
Yeah, it surprised me. I didn't realize it.
Wow.
And that's the beauty of this, where, again, if I'm the CEO of Disney and I walk by a coffee machine, I go, wait, why is Mickey Mouse there? Attorney, did you license this? But here it's like, no, this actually, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited that someone is actually building a business off their PFP.
I think it's a great concept that being an NFT holder, now you are also technically a business owner yourself.
That's right.
Around it. Wow. So, throughout the growth of Apes community and BOIC and Yuga Labs, it's been not just the bottom-up community and individual holders, but there's been a lot of the brands and also the top-down publishers and the production companies that I mentioned that wanted to partner with Yuga Labs. What are some of the synergies you're seeing there, and also why are they trying to work with Yuga Labs, which is a very different model that they have historically in their business?
Right. Well, look, when I met the founders of Yuga Labs, this was late last year in 22, and I'd been working on the Diablo 4 game that just got released at Activision. And if you look at the economics of gaming, and you know this, particularly in a free-to-play game, you end up having a very large user base, but the commercialization comes down to a very, very small number of whales, that you refer to in game. And those whales are the big spenders. They're the ones who are, spending thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands and sometimes even more than hundreds of thousands of dollars on a game. And after I met with the founders of Yuga Labs, I actually looked at the demographic of our community holders. And you ended up having, aside from the passion, people who were 100% committed to the space. And as a result, from a brand partnership perspective, we have a great community that brands would love to connect with. Whether it's Gucci, whether it's Adidas, these are some very well-known, reputable brands who would love to be able to connect with our community, and our community loves those brands. So the way I look at it, similar to what I talked about in terms of the social network platform that Yuga is building, I'm finding ways to connect brands with community affinity. And that's a unique opportunity where you have, as I said, like we have a deep partnership with Gucci where they've had a great experience and they build unique experiences for our community. Our community has embraced those. But where I really want to take Yuga Labs, and this is, I think, where you're talking about, is we're very good at storytelling, community building, and art. Our creatives that we have at Yuga Labs are second to none. And you look at some of the artistry that came on the development of Otherside, or even just the artistry for the Bored Apes, and our community holders of CryptoPunks and Meebits. They're really, really good at connecting and storytelling. And what I want to do is I want to bring this community that is so strong and the strongest in the Web3 space, and then be able to create a partnership ecosystem where we create unique experiences. So it's not necessarily just brand connections like the Gucci's that I talked about, but also how do we bring these unique Web3 experiences through a partner ecosystem where our community and other communities can benefit and find great epic entertainment. And you may know, in addition to having run Google Asia, I was also responsible for Google's global partnerships. And I love partnerships. I love the power of 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah.
And that's why in gaming, we've built some gaming experiences ourselves, but we're also partnering with third parties who have great experiences, and some great gaming companies here in Korea that I'm going to meet later this week. I want to be able to create this unique ecosystem where build on Web3, we can open the aperture and have new users understand the value of Web3, just like our original community holders have benefited so much from.
That's amazing. You briefly touched on some of the products and the platforms that are coming out from Yuga Labs ecosystem. I think it'd be great for people to understand a little bit better about what are some of the ongoing projects that are getting built, the games and where they are, and what are some of the initiatives that we'll be launching in the later year that people can try and experience.
Sure. Well, look, for me, the priority is to continue to connect our communities globally. Our mission at Yuga Labs is building culture on the blockchain, and we really care about that. But the next phase of development is not only nurturing the existing community, but as I said, is building out our Otherside platform.
Yep.
And we recently acquired a company called Blur Studios, and the CEO of Blur is now the general manager of Otherside. And he's the one who's actually been tasked to build out the very expansive vision that we have for Otherside. So if you think about Web3 and the evolution of Web3, like I'm preaching to the choir here, I think all of you are participating here. Once you experience Web3 experiences, it's hard to go back to Web2. Whether you're in art, whether you're in gaming, whether you're in music. So what we're doing at Yuga Labs is we're going experience by experience and bringing those to our Web3 platform, so that the type of experiences that have the greatest affinity are the ones that we're starting with. So art obviously was the first. The second is gaming. If you look at gamers, it's very easy for a gamer to understand the value proposition of Web3. You can participate in the economy of a game. Of course you want to do that. If you're going to spend thousands of hours in playing a game, you want to be able to actually reap some benefit from it, or actually trade some assets in the game. Your identity, to be able to have your identity go from game to game, and the interoperability of your persona and your social networks and games, it's a slam dunk for a gamer. So that's why we're building these gaming experiences on top of what we want to do with Otherside, because we know that our community wants it, but it's also a way for us to expand the funnel of potential Web3 consumers. And as an industry, I think the biggest challenge that we have is how do you make Web3 experiences easy for the consumer to experience? That's the hardest part. It reminds me of the internet back of 1993, 94, where internet was hard, right? You had to get a modem, you had to connect it to your PC, then you had to call your telephone company, and hopefully they had an expert who understood the internet, and it was all complicated. And then came companies like America Online that basically said, here, stick a disk in, and here's an experience, and you can benefit from it. That's what we're trying to do with the experiences with Other Side. Not only are we connecting our communities and bringing unique experiences to them, but we're also trying to make it a lot easier for you as a new entrant into Web3 to understand how you can participate, explore, and benefit from these experiences. And that for me is the biggest challenge. Like, we all know it. You try Web3, you're gonna love it. Yeah. Like, the value proposition is crystal clear for a consumer, which is why I came to Yuga Labs. It's crystal clear to me. Yeah. Once you have a taste, it's hard to go back. The real question is, how do you expand the audience so you can actually get from a universe of hundreds of thousands to a universe of millions to experience? And that's, whether it's on Other Side, whether it's on other platforms, that is, for an industry, that to me I think is the biggest challenge as well as the biggest opportunity.
Yeah. I'm very excited about the contents and the experiences that Yuga Labs is bringing to the Web3 industry, because even though I've been a venture investor in crypto space the last 6-7 years, it's pretty sad to me that the only consistent content in the space that people look for and consume today is mainly the price volatility. That's the main content of this industry, where people watch the price and make action on it, which is trading and doing different activity in the financial side. And there's been lack of this content to really consume and experience or socialize with people in the industry to stay and continuously grow this engagement in that metaverse or physical events. And I think some of the products that you guys will be releasing and opening up, and the events, offline events that you guys are doing, hopefully I think we're building up and accumulating a lot of good case study of contents in the Web3 space to make this industry more sustainable and continue to grow.
Yeah. Look, Baek, you and I have been involved in early stages of so many different digital businesses. This is normal, right? When you're in a new space, you're going to get volatility up and down. Go back to 1997, 1998. People thought Amazon was going to go bankrupt and Jeff Bezos didn't know what he was doing, right? And now look at what Amazon has become. And it happened in 98, 99. It happened in 2004. It happened in mobile in 2008, when people were questioning, really? I'm going to be using this for more than just a phone, and I'm actually going to explore the world? And you get all these ups and downs. But the true value in this space is when you recognize that the experiences matter, and that all these roadblocks of how you're going to get on and creating a wallet, and be careful that if you burn in the wrong way, you may lose. All those things are eventually going to be figured out, just like dial-up to broadband was figured out, right? The early days of broadband, with the exception of here in Korea, where you're so far advanced from everywhere else in the world. I think
Silicon Valley has the slowest internet as
for sure.
resident there, which is very surprising and ironic.
But look at what happened here in Korea, for instance. The innovations of content creation was built on a backbone of a really good infrastructure with great partnership with the government and investment in infrastructure. So, which is why I'm also very passionate about Asia Pacific, is governments here understand the value of a close partnership, of building infrastructure. Because if you build the infrastructure, you're going to actually create new businesses, new opportunities for small, medium, and large. But you're saying earlier it was only the large companies, but no, now it's actually anyone could build a business on the internet. And what we care about is, well, how can you create great experiences, whether it's a creator, whether you're a business owner, on Web3? And that, I think, is something that, mark my words, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, you're going to look back and go, yeah, Web3 was in its infancy, and all these ups and downs were noise, because the value is there, and if you build it, they will come.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. It was a great message, I think, Korean community on enthusiasm to Korean market and also the community here to bring together to a community. So thank you so much today for joining us.
I'm so happy. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Baek.
Thank you.